Hello, Miss Sanchez. How are you doing today?
I'm okay. I'm tired.
So I know we called you in because of your grandson Tony and his behavior in school. Can you tell me a little about what's been going on with him? Why he would be having this aggressive behavior?
Well, I don't know if you know or not, but my husband had an accident. He had a stroke a few weeks ago, and Tony was really close with him, and they used to hang out a lot and play a bunch of games together. And he would take him to his sporting events, and now he's struggling to get around, and I think it's really affecting Tony. And I don't know what to do about it.
Um, so then, Tony, has he been traditionally, has he had any like traumatic events going on in his life?
Well, as you know, I'm his grandmother. And my daughter and her husband, Tony's father, passed away in a car accident from because he was drunk driving. And I don't know how to handle this. And I'm dealing with the loss of my daughter, and he's dealing with the loss of his mother and his father. And I think we're both just trying to figure it out.
Oh, yeah, I'm really sorry to hear that you're struggling through that. That's a lot for you to handle and for Tony too. Um, has he ever tried to talk to you about his thoughts on the events?
No, he just, every time I try to talk to him about my daughter, his mother, he just starts throwing things, and he just gets really mad and sometimes storms out of the house, and then I can't find him for like a couple hours, and eventually he comes back. He always does, but he's just so angry. He doesn't want to talk about anything.
Then how do you react when he kind of throws these fits?
Sometimes I just yell back. You know, why are you acting like this? Like, I'm upset too. And he just gets even more mad. And I don't know how to handle him. It's not like if I tried to ground him, he would just sneak out the window. I don't know what to do.
Well, it sounds like
It's not like I can chase after him.
Sounds like Tony would benefit from some form of counseling. So through the school, I don't know if you're aware, we do offer some counseling services that we could sign him up for a couple times a week. Do you think he would be interested in doing that?
I think if you could get him in the room, it would be helpful. I don't know how open to it he would be. He's been resistant with talking with me, but maybe it takes someone else.
Okay.
So give it a shot.
If he does agree to that, I'm wondering if you would be actually up to doing counseling with him as well. We could do a separate, not just counseling for him, but we could do like a family counseling session. So I'm wondering, would you be interested in joining him in a session with one of our counselors?
How much is that going to cost?
It will be provided through the school counseling services. We have a nonprofit organization.
Oh, then yeah. I can't afford it, but if it's free, then yeah, we'll do it. Or at least I'll do it and give it a shot.
Okay, that's good to hear. Could you tell me a little bit more about, does Tony have siblings?
Yeah, he has a younger sister, and she's pretty quiet ever since the incident. She's been quiet since her mother passed away. She's been quiet since, the stroke. She was finally starting to open up again when my husband had a stroke. And it's been pretty difficult on all of us. We haven't really been able to talk or communicate.
Is she normally a very quiet girl?
She wasn't before her mother passed away. She was always very happy and very giddy and jumps around, very playful and loved sports, and now she just sits in her room when she gets home from school and blasts music and doesn't really do anything. She's getting her homework done, but that's about it, has no real interest in anything else.
I see. And have you tried to connect with her to get her to talk about her feelings?
Yeah, I'll knock on her door, let her know dinner's ready, and she usually just tells me to open the door and slip it through the crack of the door. Her room's so messy that I can barely open the door, so I just get enough for the food to slide right in, and then she'll just slam the door in my face, and she'll have her dinner, and then she'll set the plate out in the hall when she's done. I tell her I'm here, but that's about it.
Then what is her relationship like with her brother?
I think they're close. They seem to hang out. Like, if something were ever to go wrong, Tony's right there. He loves his sister. But again, he gets angry, so he deals with it in an aggressive way. And if, she ignores him, he gets mad. If she talks to him when he doesn't want to, he gets mad. And I'm not surprised that it's coming out in school, but I just don't know what to do.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of conflict within the family from the trauma you all have been through. And then so your husband, Mr. Sanchez, how is he taking in all of this?
So I'm not really sure. He's since the stroke, his cognitive functions have gone down, and I have to help him get around the house and help him eat and help him dress and help him bathe. So he's just so focused on, himself and trying to get himself back on his feet. But I could tell that he misses hanging out with the kids and that the kids look at him differently, and it's sad, It's hard, and I want to be there for my grandkids, but at the same time I have to take care of my husband and make sure that he eats and gets bathed and to his doctor's appointments, and God forbid he had another stroke. I don't know what I would do. I can't afford those bills.
And then before the stroke, what was his profession?
He was someone who just worked in HR at a local business. He didn't really move around much, so he was always home at 5 o'clock, would come home and help, the grandkids with their homework, and, then while I was getting dinner ready and cleaning the house, and, he'd play ball with Tony in the front yard, but he can't do that anymore. He's wheelchair bound now.
Oh yeah, that must be really hard for him and for you to see him lose mobility like that.
Yeah. And we live in a 2-story house, and he has to sleep downstairs now, and he can't get up because we don't have any kind of system to help him get around, and he's too heavy. I can't carry him.
Do you have extended family members that would be able to step in to help you take care of him in the meantime before we can hopefully set you up with some services for some help?
I have another daughter, but she lives all the way in Texas, so I don't think she's going to be able to help. And she's busy with her own kids and her own family and her own job, and she doesn't really have time, which is why I took on the kids, and they've been with me for years, and it's been great. It's just now that I'm doing it all myself, it's really hard.
I see. And then as for you, are you also working while doing childcare and taking care of your husband?
I was working as a cook in a restaurant, but now I had to quit that so I can be home with my husband. And now we're just getting checks from disability, which isn't really covering much. So sometimes I'm skipping meals just to make sure that, Tony and his sister get enough to eat and that my husband gets what he needs. And sometimes I have to buy special medicine for him. And so I'm on rice and beans right now.
See, that must be really hard. And you must be under a lot of stress.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you if you would be willing to go over different services that our team at the school might be able to offer you. If we can't offer them, we have links to other organizations that could help you, with care for your husband and helping to provide stipend for meals for your grandchildren. Would you be interested?
How much does that cost?
We'd have to go over the specifics of what you qualify for with the rest of the social work team, but we'd be able to get you set up with some help. So I'm just wondering if you would be interested in that.
Yeah.
Okay,
give it a shot.
And then as for your home, do would it be available to have modifications made for your husband to have better
I
mobility?
can't afford it.
In that case, yeah, there might be services that we could look for you to see to get him more help as well for that.
You know, anything you can do it would be helpful. I'm on my own now. I don't know how I'm gonna handle this. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm losing my mind.
Have you been seeing a counselor of your own for your own stress?
No.
Would you be interested?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and that too, we have some resources that you can get in touch with to see. Do you have health insurance coverage?
I do now, but I don't know how much longer I can pay for it.
Okay, yeah, we can set you up with an appointment to go over what you qualify for, just to get you help, because this is a lot that you're putting on your shoulders, carrying for this whole family.
Not like I got a choice. I love my kids.
Yeah, it sounds like you're a really loving grandmother and they're very lucky to have you.
I don't know if I'm doing enough though. I wish I could help them more.
In what ways do you feel that you're not helping them enough?
I'm not helping Tony through his anger, and I don't know how to even help him and get him to, talk to me instead of being so angry, And his sister just stays quiet and just has no interest in talking and communicating, and it's exhausting just trying to get her to talk to me, and I can barely get a yes or no if she did her homework or not. But I'm not getting complaints from teachers, so it's like, how high can that be on my priority list? I gotta deal with Tony and I gotta deal with my husband first.
Mm-hmm.
Then I can worry about me and my granddaughter.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then relating back to Tony of how he acted in school, the phone call that we called you in about the specific incident. So what are your thoughts on what's been happening with him with the teachers in the program?
Well, the teachers say that he gets angry when they ask him to do certain things, and if he doesn't want to do it, the task that they told him to do, then he'll just, throw his paper or, just push himself back or storm out of the classroom, and I don't know what I can do to stop that. He's angry, and the teachers just seem to just be harsh on him and not care about how angry he is and, punish him opposed to figuring out why he's so angry. Even though I guess that it's, because of my husband. That they're not playing anymore, and, that he's just upset that they can't spend the time together that they used to and have the relationship that they used to.
So does your husband know about what's been going on with Tony in school?
No, I haven't been able to tell him.
How does that make you feel that you're carrying, you're keeping things from your husband and his condition?
I just feel like if I told him, it would make him worse. I don't want to cause another stroke or other health issues. I need him to stay positive and motivated on getting better. He'd feel so guilty if he knew that, this trauma was affecting all of us in negative ways.
Although if we require, more intervention for Tony, more counseling services for him, would you have to include, your husband at some point? Like, he might find out. So do you think maybe you should tell him sooner than later?
I guess, but at the same time, I'd rather just, wait till he can handle it.
Okay.
I don't want him to regress. I want him to stay motivated on getting better, not concerned and worried and feeling guilty about, how his struggles are affecting the kids. After our daughter died, he wanted them to be with us so much.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Um, and then your daughter, how old was she around when she passed?
She was in her late 30s.
And at the time, was she living with you with the kids, or was she living separately?
No, they have the house of their own. It was a couple blocks away. So we could drop by whenever and help her with the kids and laundry. So like I've always been around, which is probably why they were comfortable staying with us. They knew the house well, but we had to sell their old house when their mother passed away, and I don't know, it's been really hard.
Well, it sounds at least that the transition, even though there was a lot of trauma, that it was eased a little bit by you guys already having a strong relationship with your grandchildren. So that's really good.
Doesn't feel like it. Feels like I'm losing them
Why do you feel that way?
because they won't talk to me. They won't tell me how they're feeling. They're just angry or silent. And either way, they just don't want to talk to me, and so then I can't even talk to them.
Do they are they able to interact with your husband very much when they come home from school?
They do a little. Like they'll say hi to him and they'll say goodnight to him and they'll give him like a kiss on the head. But like they used to have conversations about how the day was, and they'd play sports together and throw a ball in the front yard, and like they can't really do that anymore. So he just kind of comes in, says hi, and goes right to his room. And so does his sister.
But your husband, I know he has mobility issues, but does he have cognitive or verbal issues since the stroke?
Yeah, his cognitive abilities have gone down, and he struggles with forming a sentence. It takes him a while. He can do it, but it takes him a few minutes to get it out. It really set him back.
Is he able to go to any kind of physical therapy to start recovering, getting his abilities back from the stroke?
We can only afford for him to go once a month, and then they give us exercises that he can try to do at home, to make sure his muscles don't disappear, whatever that means.
I see. It sounds to me, that you're trying to fill in the gaps for a lot of care that you're not receiving. So that could be another thing too, if you would like, that we could discuss. Trying to get more appointments for your husband to fuel his recovery.
We can't afford it.
There might be a couple of programs that you could apply for. There is a waiting list, but if you are interested in that, we could try to get you on it. Try to see if something can come out of that for you to make things a little easier.
Would you help me with that?
Yes, I'd be very happy to help you.
Okay, great.
And then as far as, I guess Tony in school,